How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. The following are the most terrifying creatures from Native American folklore. But just quickly before we get into it, hit that subscribe button for more awesome creepy content just like this.
The Achiyalatopa is frightening for numerous reasons, not least of all for its size. It's a giant human bird creature that originates from Zuni legend. The Zuni were a Pueblo tribe mostly based out of New Mexico. Many of their stories revolved around nature and animals, and this monster is no different. According to legend, the Achiyalatopa is a strong and powerful god. It has awful celestial powers that it uses when angered. It also has feathers made from flint knives. These knives can be thrown at people who cross the powerful god. Although the Achiyalatopa is neither definitively good or evil, its monstrous appearance and terrifying powers lead most people to associate it with evil. It's certainly not a creature you'd want to anger. The Apotamkin is a creature found in Maliseet and Passamaquoddy legends. This terrifying monster is often thought to be the basis of modern-day vampire legends. This creature does have a lot in common with vampires. It has superhuman strength and sustains itself on blood. However, unlike most vampires, the Apotamkin can also feed on animals and dead creatures in order to live. It also differs from most vampires of legend because it lives in the water, typically in the Passamaquoddy Bay. According to legends, it lurks around the shores of the bay and attempts to lure children towards her. When they get close, she drags them into the water and feeds on them. The appearance of the creature is debatable, but many legends describe it as a serpent-like creature with long red hair and terrifying fangs. Some say it was once a human woman who was mysteriously transformed into a hideous creature. Another creature that strikes fear into the hearts of its victims by its sheer size alone comes from Wabanaki mythology. This creature, known as the Kee-wakw, may start out the size of a human, but if you anger it, the Kee-wakw grows rapidly until it's taller than the trees. This creature is perpetually hungry, so it rips its victims to pieces with its terrifying fangs. Most stories about the Kee-wakw suggest that it was originally a human. Some say that it was a Wabanaki shaman who learned to transform himself into a horrifying monster. Others say that if a Wabanaki committed a serious crime, their heart turns to ice, transforming them into a Kee-wakw. Luckily for the Wabanaki, the Kee-wakw can be defeated. The ice inside the creature is the source of its power, so if you can make it vomit up the ice or melt it with salt, it becomes powerless. Some say that doing so transforms it back into a human. The Kalu is another terrifying Passamaquoddy legend. This creature, however, can also be found in Maliseet and Mi'kmaq folklore. This creature takes the form of a large, monstrous bird of prey. It's said to be large enough to carry off even the largest of animals in its sharp talons. The Kalu often haunted the dreams of Native Americans because of its propensity to carry off young children. According to legend, many hunters attempted to defeat the Kalu, but it makes its nest atop a cliff so high and steep that no human can possibly scale it. When one hunter tried to find the creature, it captured him and attempted to beat him to death on the rocks near its nest, as it typically did with its victims. The hunter, however, had kept his bow beneath him, which kept him from being throttled. When the Kalu left the hunter for dead, he made his escape. The Adlet is a terrifying wolf-human hybrid that originates from Inuit folklore. Some believe it might be the basis for popular culture's werewolves. The Adlet is a tall creature, half wolf, half human, with terrifying blue eyes. It's extremely fast and often carries a spear that it uses to hunt humans and eat their flesh. The story of the Adlet's origin is one of the more disturbing on this list. According to legend, the Adlet were created when an Inuit woman mated with a wolf, creating 10 hybrid offspring. Horrified by this abomination, the other villagers exiled her and her children to an island. The woman's father at first felt sorry for her and would give the family a boot full of meat each day that one of the hybrid children would retrieve by swimming back to the mainland. One day the father decided to fill the boot with rocks and the creature drowned. The mother was outraged and released the remaining children to murder the entire village. The Adlet children didn't stop there, however. They continued on to become a scourge to many other nations. The Bakwas is a terrifying creature that originates from the Achiyalatopa people of British Columbia. This beast is often known as the Wild Man of the Woods and resides in a spirit realm. It has large eyebrows and a pointed nose. It's believed that the Bakwas were originally the spirits of people who had drowned. The Bakwas are often shy of people, but if one takes an interest in you, it's terrifying. Legend says that the Bakwas love to eat ghost food that it finds in cockles, fish or berries, and that it lives in an invisible house in the woods. The danger comes when the Bakwas attempts to lure you to its home. It offers its victims tempting foods to get them to the invisible house. Unfortunately, the food is cursed and anyone who eats it becomes a Bakwas themselves. The Unhcegila from Dakota and Lakota Sioux folklore is most often described as a massive serpent with iron fangs and impenetrable scales. Some even say that if one looks into the creature's eyes, they first go blind, then go insane, then die. According to legend, the Unhcegila was once a peaceful creature that coexisted with the Dakota and Lakota tribes. Then it began to develop a taste for human flesh. Ever since then, it's been a formidable enemy. Its scales are invulnerable to spears and arrows. However, it can be killed if it's hit with an arrow between the eyes, where it sports a small red crystal. The Mishipeshu is often known as the underwater panther. This creature comes from the tribes of the northeastern woodlands, such as the Iroquois, Wapani, Ojibwe, and Shawnee. This terrifying monster appears to be a hybrid of numerous creatures. It has the head and paws of a panther, a body covered in scales and sharp spikes on its back and tail. It lurks deep in the waters of lakes and rivers, hardly ever surfacing. This creature is terrifying because of its awful power. It's said that the Mishipeshu is the cause of destructive storms and natural disasters. Occurrences such as tidal waves, hurricanes, rapids, whirlpools, and thin ice are often attributed to angering the Mishipeshu. The Wendigo is one of the better known Native American creatures, often making its way into popular culture. This monster originated in the folklore of the Chippewa, Ottawa, Algonquin, and Potawatomi peoples. It's often known as the ice cannibal. The Wendigo is said to be a sinful human who was coated in ice as punishment. Luckily, it can be defeated by piercing the ice and destroying the heart of the human inside. Some stories claim that the person inside can be saved, but most often they can only be saved through death. The Wendigo is a terrifying monster that hunts humans and eats their flesh. Some say that the victims of the Wendigo become possessed and begin to crave human flesh as well. This theory seems to gain some credence with the existence of Wendigo psychosis, a psychological disease characterized by a desire for human flesh. Before we get to that number one spot and take a look at one of the creepiest creatures to come from Native American folklore, remember to hit that subscribe button and turn on channel notifications. That way you'll get updates on all our latest content. If you've ever been frightened by an animated skeleton in a horror film, you may have been looking at a creature inspired by the Baykok, a skeletal creature found in the mythology of the Chippewa people. The Baykok was a skeleton with translucent skin, jet black eyes that turn red when stalking a victim. When it screams, its victim is frozen with terror, becoming easy prey. Sometimes it shoots its victims with an arrow that puts them to sleep. It then sneaks up and cuts the victim open, devouring their liver and replacing it with a stone. The victim awakens with no memory of the ordeal, but slowly dies because of the missing organ. It's said that the Baykok were originally warriors who committed major sins, such as rape or incest. After death, they're cursed to walk the earth hunting humans for food. The only way to kill a Baykok is to find the original human remains and give them a proper burial. You might hear the approach of a Baykok when walking through the woods. It's said that you can hear its bones popping and its skin stretching as it moves.
If you want more awesome creepy content just like this, check out that video on the top there or the playlist down below. Leave us a comment in the comment section or hit that thumbs up button because it lets us know you're enjoying the content. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time.